everyone, today what I'm going to do is give you the demo on how to cut glass. Before we start that, I really want to show you all the tools you're going to be needing. So first you're going to need a pair of gloves. As to the type of gloves, they'll be expensive. You don't have to go buy them from Home Depot like I did. These are Gorilla Grip gloves. What you're looking for is that fabric. You're going to need something that's, more rubber, something that's going to make sure that the glass doesn't pierce. These aren't really thick and they fit me well, so I can hold the glass, I can use the tools. It's not cumbersome, and they're not thin. These are thin, but they have like a coating, so glass dust and glass pieces aren't going to rip through. The next we have our glass cutter, and I'll go over this in a few minutes. We also have our pliers that we'll be using, and then to cut glass you'll also need some glass cutting oil, and you don't need a lot. This is really just to lubricate a glass cutter, and I'll show you that in a second. So more on the glass cutter. Let me zoom in a little bit. So your glass cutter has a few functions. Here at the top right there, that little wheel, that's actually what you're going to use to cut the glass. It looks small, but have no fear, it cuts through. It's not sharp to the touch, but it will cut glass, so just keep that in mind. Down here at the bottom you have this little ball end that helps kind of click it against the glass, knock it against the glass, and it helps the glass cut a little bit easier when you snap it. These teeth can also be used to cut glass. I never use teeth simply because sometimes it cuts weird edges or it'll chip glass and won't cut the glass. So after you sit with the wheel, some people like to use the edges. It's really up to you. In the beginning, you guys are going to get a slice of glass just to practice pressure, how much you should use, and how to cutting with the wheel, using the ball end to knock it if you want it. So, get started. One thing I want you to notice is I have a cardboard box right here. What's going to happen is as you cut the glass, you're going to get a lot of dust, which is fine. So you know what happens. But since you'll be working at your tables, working in different areas, you don't want the dust to stay on the tables and potentially harm other students that come to the classroom for lunch or for my classes. So the box is going to be used when you cut. To do all your other stuff, to draw on your glass, get your glass ready for your project, you don't need the box. But when you cut glass, you will have this cardboard box. That way the dust just stays in. You can knock it into the trash can. So I have this glass, just a random piece, nothing special about it. Some of the glass has like a texture, and you can kind of see right here. The other side is usually a little bit smoother. I have some glass like this one right here. It's really pretty, but it has a lot of texture on this. You can almost see all those like bumps and raises right here. You also want to cut on whichever side is the smoothest, easiest. The reason why is because you're running your blade over the glass. If it has a bunch of lumps or texture, your tool will be jumping up and down, and you don't want that. You want to run easily. You zoom in so you can see what's happening. So all I'm doing is just cut off a little chip right here with my glass cutter. Again, here's the wheel. This isn't an X-Acto blade. Do an X-Acto blade. You're only going to make one slice down. If that slice doesn't cut off, slice near it. Don't try to slice right on that line. For some reason, if you try, X-Acto blades, we keep going over and over and cutting. With the glass cutter, it doesn't work the same. So I have my glass cutter here. Also going to get some of the glass cutter oil ready just in case. You don't always need this, but it lubricates that little oil. So if I want to, I can dip it in. You're just kind of dipping it, just to get that oil a little bit smoothly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the glass cutter to cut the glass. Now, you're holding it just like a pencil or like a pen, and you want to have the glass cutter almost 90 degrees to the glass. It shouldn't be cut slanted like this. you should have your tool almost 90 degrees on glass. So I'm going to cut a little sideways so you can see a little bit better. I'm just going to start from the edge of the glass, and I apply a good amount of pressure. I run all the way through. And you can just see that line right here. Now I'm going to use the back of the tool and just kind of, and there you go. And it knocks off pretty easily. If this doesn't happen, let's say you're knocking, let's say the piece of glass is a lot bigger and it's not coming off. I'll show you how to use the pliers right now. Again, I'm going to make a slice in the glass. Okay, I'm just holding the tool, like a pencil, like a pen. And I'm not using Hulk strength, but I'm, putting a pretty good amount of pressure. So, little line. I'll always knock it a little bit, just to kind of loosen the glass. And then I'm going to get my pliers. And what you want to do with the pliers is you can just see that, and I make it right there. You can just see it. You want to make sure you line up your pliers close to the line. If you line up really far away, what might happen is because you're holding so much strength on the end of the pliers, if it's too far away from that line, you might just end up snapping the glass somewhere else. If you have it right next to the line, not on the line, just next to it, you can just put the other piece in your hand and just, if it doesn't come out perfectly straight, we have sandpaper to help you with that. But right now you're just going to practice cutting, and you'll all have like one of these little like junk pieces of glass. And you're going to see like sometimes there's like lines there, and it might be a malfunction of the glass, or someone else might have tried to cut it. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty easy. Now let's talk about your project. So I'm going to move my cardboard out of the way to show you my sketch. So here is a really rough drawing of my sketch that I might want to have just started it. What you want to do is label your glass. That way, that way when you start cutting it, know that this little piece going here, it's going there. You're just going to want to kind of label which ones are which. I've started already labeling my glass here. So if you line it up, the numbers don't line up, but my lines do. So that way when I use the glass, I can cut it. Now some people don't want to make marks on their glass. I use Sharpie, so Sharpie comes off a little bit harder than another marker. I also have the markers for the whiteboard. So if you want to make a mark to follow, you can. To get more advanced, you won't need to draw the lines. You'll be able to hold your glass here and then cut along this. If the glass is pretty clear, it's easy to see your mark to it. If you're picking a glass that's a little bit more opaque, a little bit, you can just see those lines. It's really, really hard. What you want to do is get some type of light box. Now here in our classroom, we're 3D design, so we don't really have light boxes, but someone in the office is getting rid of these. And I was like, hey, I like junk. I can probably use that thing. So what I'm going to do is create a light box. So I got my phone, I turned my light. I'm just going to put it under here. So my gloves on. You can use any type of light, whichever for you, if you have a little flashlight. Now I'm going to put my paper here so the light shines through. And you can barely, let's see, let me turn off this lamp. So you can kind of see it's a little bit here. And now I'll put my glass, and it's a little bit harder to see on the camera. When I put the glass on, I can really see those lines. It's not here where the light is. So if I wanted to do these triangles that were over here, I'd have to my phone to kind of get that light positioned a little bit better for me, to be a little bit easier. Now, if the light box, if you go to Miss Brown's to cut the glass, because she has light that's as well. I'll make sure I talk so that way you can head over and use it just to outline your glass. So, for instance, I have this little piece right here, the demo cutting. Again, I'm going to grab my board box. Here we go. And one thing to know about glass is this. Let's say I'm going to cut out the 7. I have to cut a straight line from the edge all the way to the end of this glass. I can't stop just at the point. If I stop there, I may need a clean cut. I may have a chip right there, and I want a clean, nice triangle. So what I have to do is make sure to go from one end all the way to the other. There's no stopping in the middle. This isn't an exact grade. That's not how it works. So I'm going to get my ruler just to help me with my, so that way it's straight. Because I used Sharpie, you always want to do your shapes a little bit larger because you know you need that Sharpie on your glass. So I'm just going to take my ruler, run a Sharpie line. Again, I'm just going to get the tool, apply a good amount of pressure. You know, not Hulk-like, but, you know, not gentle either. So I cut all the way up here, all the way down. It's all the worry is when you start, we tend to put a lot of pressure. So if this one end doesn't come out very sharp, I know that's why. So what I tend to do is this is where my original line is for my sketch. That line is supposed to be like this line there. So when I cut my glass, I made it a little bit bigger so I can go further up. So I can get a clean, because I know when we first start, it's always hard to add away. So here's my piece. I'm just going to kind of knock it a little bit. This just helps the cut. And then I'm going to get my pliers. Again, I'm putting the plier right by that cut. And you can kind of start to see, where is it? You can see that cut line right down there. Again, I'm just going to line it up. Some people like to use pliers, one on one end, one on the other, and then spit. I just use my hand because, you know, you're wearing your gloves. I don't really think about it. And you're just going to, so right there. So I'm going to get my pliers again. Go right to that line. Maybe, actually, let me knock it times. Go right by that cut line. You can just sand it so I can get that a little bit straighter. So I'm going to cut the other end right now. So again, I want to make sure that I get rid of some of the Sharpie. I'm just going to start actually. I want to go, because I know my weakest is going to be where I first start with the tool. So I want this to be an end point, so I'm going to start at the other end and come down. Okay, have my cut. Just have to sand down these little guys so that way it'll be a bit deeper. It's more of a triangle, not so wobbly. One thing to notice too is this is the glass that has that texture on it, so it tends to want to follow that kind of wave action. We can still so that become a point. If I just know that it's gonna have this little kind of fluctuation, and you will have to go in and get a little bit smaller. But that's pretty much it. It's nothing too crazy. Now one thing about, so you can't really see, but I have a lot of glass dust down here. I'm just gonna leave it here till we clean up. Also, as you see, when I started to cut it, when I started using the pliers, some pieces kind of like flew. You have to have goggles on. So if glasses, you're okay. If you want to wear goggles, obviously that's going to be the safest bet for this class. But you need your gloves and your eye protection. Also, no chocolates, no sandals. If any of this glass were to fall, let's say you're carrying it from the box where I have glass to your table, and that to fall down, glass is industrial, and so these edges are very, very sharp. They come in pieces like this, and so this edge, they'll pierce, they'll go through. You know, you always want to be careful. Glasses pretty sharp, pretty dangerous, and not careful. We'll be sending home a permission slip so that we can have your parents sign it. So that way they know that what you're up to in this class, and also why you suddenly want to go out to the store and buy gloves. Way they'll understand. And just know you're doing some cool stuff. When you're done, any little glass fragment you don't need, all of the exercise pieces that we have, someone can always use those. So we never want to throw those away. Your little weird random pieces, little one left off, those can go in the trash. That's fine. I'll have a little collection. And the oil, we never throw this out. The oil doesn't go bad or get, you know, if it's dirty, it doesn't really matter either. It's just oil for the water. So you just pour it in, put it in the cap or put it in the container. I'll buy salsa containers to put it in. But that's it. It's pretty fun. Takes a little getting used to, just like the first time you use an X-Acto blade. But once you figure it out, it's really fast and it's a lot of fun. And I can't wait for you guys to start doing this project. Okay, talk to you soon.